Here we go. Welcome into the show. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr., and no matter where you are, how you're tuned in, I greatly appreciate all of you for making today's show a part of your day. Coming up, the Philadelphia Eagles news that you need to know today. Before we dive in, how about them Eagles? Second seed in the NFC, atop the NFC East. They have won 6 games in a row. If you're enjoying this 8-2 start, the vibes are great. I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. As for our programming schedule this week, videos coming your way every single day. Long form, short form on the YouTube short side, sometimes multiple shows every day. We'll also be live in our normal time slot Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern on November 20th. And then Sunday, watch party for Sunday Night Football action. Eagles on the road to take on the Los Angeles Rams, so be sure to hit that subscribe button. Go Birds as we approach 100,000 subscribers. Want to start off with talking about the rookie first-round pick cornerback in Quinyon Mitchell. This year, he is playing like one of the top cornerbacks in the NFL, and it's been incredible to see him do it week in and week out. And he's been so good on the outside for Philadelphia for Vic Fangio's defense that he's barely getting targeted by opposing quarterbacks, which has resulted in his pass breakup numbers tailing off a little bit as compared to earlier this year when he was steadily in top 5, top 10 territory. He still has 8 pass breakups, though, which is tied for 14th among all corners in the NFL. But it's not just the pass breakup numbers. It's how he's playing and who he's shutting down. As we know, on Thursday Night Football against the Washington Commanders, he had Terry McLaurin on clamps. Terry McLaurin is one of the top wide receivers in the game, and McLaurin ran 20 routes against Quinyon Mitchell, and Jaden Daniels didn't target him at all. 0 targets, 0 catches, 0 yards. And oftentimes I like to point and think back to the 44 pass breakups that Quinyon Mitchell had the last 2 years at Toledo. He's always around the ball. But I've also talked about how polished he is. The back pedal, flipping his hips, being able to locate the ball, the mechanics of driving the wide receiver to the sideline to not give the quarterback a throwing lane. And that is just high-level cornerback play from Quinyon Mitchell. And what he's done against some of the top wide receivers in the game this year, it really is incredible. Quinyon Mitchell as a rookie is playing at an all-pro caliber level, and he is locking down some of the top wide receivers in the game in his first year in the National Football League, and he's a big reason why. During the 6-game winning streak, Philadelphia is the #1 overall defense in the National Football League. They're giving up less than 13 points per game, and they were so awful last year, yet this year they have just reversed course in a dramatic way, led by the play of Quinyon Mitchell. Week 1 against the Packers, he gave up 1 catch for 6 yards. Week 2 against Drake London, 1 catch for 5 yards. And by the way, how about the pass breakup in Week 1 against the Packers and Christian Watson? When Jordan Love tried to throw that long ball in the end zone, Christian Watson's a 4.3, 4.4 runner. Chris Olave, Week 3 against Quinyon Mitchell, 2 catches, 23 yards. Mike Evans, 2 catches for 19. Amari Cooper, 1 catch for 10. Malik Nabers, 1 catch for 9. Jamar Chase, I know the Bengals are 4-7. Look at what Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow are doing this year. They are unstoppable. Jamar Chase against Quinyon Mitchell, 2 catches, 19 yards. Against the Jags, Mitchell only gave up 1 grab for 11 yards. Against CeeDee Lamb, 2 catches for 14. And against Terry McLaurin, 0 catches for 0 yards. Guantanamo Bay has opposing wide receivers on lockdown. And how about this? Quinyon Mitchell is 2nd in the NFL in forced incompletions this year. Next up, let's talk about Nick Sirianni here. And as part of this conversation, Darius Slay has really taken Quinyon Mitchell under his wing. And here's what Sirianni had to say about that. And then we'll talk about Sirianni, the coach. I can't say enough good things about Slay and the leader that he is. He's been voted a captain 3 years in a row. And the reason being, he's such a good leader, such a good teammate. I think that's something that you don't get to hear about Slay enough. You hear about the special player that he is and the special play that he has, but man, he always has the best interest of his teammate at heart. Good heart, just a great teammate. And Sirianni continued by saying, when you're a younger player like you and somebody that plays the same position as you has taken you under their wing, that's a special deal, especially for a player the caliber of Slay, who Q has probably been watching since he was 10 years old. And so these things and this type of stuff, it matters. Culture matters. Having leaders matters. Nick Sirianni putting a culture in place for this to take place, it certainly matters. And with Nick Sirianni, let's get to some numbers here. I went on a rant during the Friday show defending him, and I know that I've called him out at times because his coaching style, the bad decisions that he's made, some of these bad losses over the last 2 years, Nick Sirianni would take some of the blame for some of those bad moments. But at the same time, 42-19 as a head coach, winning nonstop at a ridiculous rate. Philadelphia, 8-2 or better for a third straight year for the first time in team history. 7 of the other 9 times that the Eagles have had a start as good as this year, they have made it either to the NFL championship or the Super Bowl. It's a pretty big deal. It is not just about talent. It is about culture. It is about player development. It's about staff and coordinator hires. It's about game management. And when you're a head coach, your job is to win football games, and Nick Sirianni does that. You know what good and great coaches also do? They are willing to adapt. Nick Sirianni did that in 2021, gave up play calling duties, handed the reins over to Shane Steichen. Eagles were able to change their identity as a team from passing to running, and they were able to make the playoffs in year 1 of rebuild. Year 2, they made it to the Super Bowl. Year 3, Super Bowl hangover. Year 4 for Nick Sirianni, the vibes are good. The Eagles have a very talented team. They've won 6 games in a row. And good coaches willing to adapt going back to that point. Remember what happened going into the bye? The Eagles were a mess offensively. But coming out of the bye, they have found their identity. They have become a running team. They become really a balanced team. But they're running it a little bit more and relying on that run to be successful offensively. And remember when Jordan Mailata, Lane Johnson, and others approached Nick Sirianni about making some necessary changes? Good coaches are willing to adapt, and they keep their ears open to their leaders to make some changes and hear from some of their star players. And Jordan Mailata talked about that. I think it goes back to Coach Sirianni when he first came here about connecting. He's done an amazing job connecting with his players. He allows for us to go to him and have a conversation. It wasn't a demand. It was a conversation, being truthful and honest. Kudos to Coach Nick Sirianni for the culture that he was coaching. Just a huge credit to him. And that's about Jordan Mailata, Lane Johnson, Landon Dickerson, going to Sirianni, going in his office during the bye week to talk about becoming a running team. And now the Eagles are the best rushing team in the NFL during their 6-game winning streak, averaging close to 200 yards per game. That also helps out the defense too in turn, by the way. And the Eagles also with Sirianni, they have the best road record in the NFC since he took over as head coach. And they're going to try to win another game Sunday night in Los Angeles against the Rams. The Eagles have not lost to the Rams in LA since the 1970s. A lot more to get to here on the show, but first, be sure to download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. They always have great deals, great user interface. We want them to be a partner here at Chat Sports and on Eagles Now for a very long time. You can help make that happen by downloading the app, creating an account, and using the code SixersChat. Myself and Chip, we host a 76ers channel. They're a disaster. The Eagles are not. DraftKings, not a disaster. Best sports book in the game. And right now, if you bet $5, you get $200 instantly in bonus bets. The Emirates NBA Cup is here. You can win big getting in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. All 30 teams split into 6 groups every Tuesday and Friday, playing for the right to advance in the single elimination in-season tourney, culminating in the NBA Cup Championship in Vegas. First time here, here's something special just for you. New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Score big with DraftKings Sportsbook. Every point counts. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code SixersChat. That's code SixersChat for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/bball. Take a peek at some DraftKings odds for Sunday Night Football. Eagles on the road at SoFi Stadium. I can't wait to see Midnight and Kelly Green taking over that stadium, making it an Eagles home game away from home. The Birds, 3-point favorites, over-under, 50.5. We could see some offense in that game. Odds and lines subject to change. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use that code SixersChat. Bet $5. Get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Next up, let's talk about Jalen Hurts here. Some developments on this front, some thoughts that I have. The Eagles' passing offense ranks 16th in DVOA. That's league average, 32 teams in the NFL. And with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley, and an elite offensive line, I think it's fair to want and expect more from Jalen Hurts and this group. The Eagles' roster, one of the most talented rosters in the NFL. This defense during this 6-game winning streak, the number 1 overall defense in the National Football League. They're averaging nearly 200 yards rushing per game during this 6-game stretch. But the Eagles' pass game is a little bit lackluster. Jalen Hurts deserves some blame. Holding onto the ball a little bit long, missing some of his reads, some inaccurate throws. For the most part, during this hot Eagles stretch, Jalen Hurts has been really good. He has a combined 17 touchdowns and 2 giveaways during this Eagles winning streak. High-level football. And what was costing Philadelphia so much early in the year when they were so Jekyll and Hyde were the Hurts turnovers. But the one worry that I do have, if the Eagles need to win a playoff game on the arm of Jalen Hurts, is he going to be able to do it? We've seen that he's capable of it. He has one of the top deep balls in the National Football League. He just has to play a little bit better, and it's fair to want that from him. As for this Eagles defense, going into Thursday night against the Commanders, Washington had scored 27 or more points in 6 of their first 10 games. Vic Fangio's defense held them to 10 points, excluding that garbage time touchdown. And over the last 6 games, the Eagles defense is giving up 12.6 points per game, 211 yards per game, 6 total touchdowns, and they're first in EPA per play. Vic Fangio, I want you to take a bow. As for what Vic Fangio had to say about some defensive developments and some players on this Eagles team, the coordinators did meet with the media here today on Jalen Carter playing every snap against the Washington Commanders. Very rare that a big interior defensive lineman is going to play 100% of the snaps. I love what Vic Fangio said. What's the difference between 90 and 100%? Well, technically, it's 10%, Vic. Now, he doesn't think about it in that way. This is an old-school defensive mind hailing from Dunmore, a gritty area of Pennsylvania, former coal and iron town. They don't mess around up there in NEPA. All right? And Vic Fangio is a no-bullshit type of old-school defensive mind. That might not work down there in South Beach in Miami when it's all glitz and glamour. You know where it works? In a tough, rugged city like Philadelphia. His best player, short week on defense, has to play 100% of the snaps. Why not? And good job by Jalen Carter for taking advantage of that and dominating the interior of that Commanders offensive line. He took over the game in multiple instances. As for his running mate and former Georgia teammate and current teammate with the Eagles, Jordan Davis, Vic Fangio said he's gotten better as of late. Credits him for a great play against the run and giving them a bit of a pass rush against Washington. If Jordan Davis can start to get it together, That's 6'6", 340 at defensive tackle right there, who alongside Jalen Carter, physically, they can dominate opponents. And when you can dominate the line of scrimmage, the point of attack, that plays in January. It plays in February. And you can take over games and disrupt games, like the developments that we're seeing from some of these young players. There's also this, which is pretty cool. Vic Fangio talked about how he knew Jim Johnson a little bit early in his coaching career. He called him a professional friend and says he thinks the two of them saw the game in a similar way. The Eagles have not had a number one overall defense since 1991. That was the Buddy Ryan era. But with everybody flying to the ball, with them being well coached and sound at all three levels, tackling well, just wasn't the case last year. It reminds me a little bit of some of these Jim Johnson defenses. Of course, you need some good players, and the Eagles have some good players, but a backbone of that Andy Reid early 2000s run, when they made it to 4 straight NFC Championship games, it was Jim Johnson's defense. And that helped spark my love for the game of football and why I wanted to get involved in broadcasting and talk about the Eagles for a living, which I'm doing right now in my early 30s. It's incredible. And so for Vic Fangio to say that about Jim Johnson today, and for him to say we see the game in a similar way, the Eagles are playing in a similar fashion. Let's talk some special teams here. Michael Clay, special teams coordinator, he said that the mechanics on Jake Elliott's missed kicks were good. He said that all 3 missed kicks were roughly in the same spot. That's less concerning than if they were all over the place. I also put up a poll on the community tab of our YouTube channel. Have you lost faith in Jake Elliott? I put it up a little bit earlier this morning, but the results are pretty good for those of you who don't have concerns about Jake Elliott. Do you still have confidence in him? 87% yes, 13% no, already 3,000 votes. So Eagles fans are siding with Jake Elliott. Also keep in mind, Justin Tucker had a bad weekend. Jake Moody, I think, is a pretty good kicker 2 weeks ago. He missed 3 kicks. Brandon Aubrey for the Cowboys, it seems as though he never misses. He connected on a field goal that didn't count on Monday Night Football from 64 yards with room. He missed a kick on Monday night. And so good kickers are missing. Hopefully we chalk that up as a bad game for Jake Elliott. My concern, he's kind of been a little bit iffy all year. Cooper DeJean as this team's punt returner. He's been very good. What happens when Britton Covey comes back? Michael Clay said it's good to have 2 good returners. We'll see if Covey is able to come back at any point. Broken collarbone, clavicle, shoulder injury, something of the sort. But Cooper DeJean has given this team physicality and juice at that punt returner spot. So we'll see what the Eagles do with Britton Covey. And then Kellen Moore, when asked how the receivers are handling the offense becoming a much more run-heavy offense, he says that there are going to be weeks where they throw the ball way more than they run it, says the receivers are talented and deserve chances to make plays. Jalen Hurts has to step up a little bit in the pass game. A.J. Brown, by the way, upon looking at the tape, needs to be a better run blocker because when the Eagles run to his side, they're not really that good, or he's not really that good at run blocking downfield. So some Eagles news that I wanted to pass along, thoughts, opinions, analysis, takeaways. We'll give you another video a little bit later here on this Tuesday. Then we'll be live, Eagles Now Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Central, and 2:30 p.m. Pacific. Hit that sub button. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you a little bit later.